Nothing in this recording is intended as investment advice, and the people in this recording may hold positions in the companies they talk about. Do not make any investment based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.
Hello and welcome to Zak's Traders Cafe. Today I'm joined by John Regan, who is CEO at Electric Guitar. How are you today, John?
I'm good. Thank you, Zach. Good to speak to you again.
Right, Electric Guitar, the clue isn't in the name, so maybe you can tell us what Electric Guitar does.
Yes, I mean, Electric Guitar was originally formed as a SPAC listed on the standard list of the London Stock Exchange, although on our most recent transaction, we've moved across to AIM. The reason that we formed the SPAC was because there's a significant change in the digital advertising marketplace, which was worth around about $800 billion globally last year. So it's a big market and there's a significant change. And that change is caused by something you may have heard of, Zach. It's third-party cookies. These third-party cookies and the third-party data they generated powered the digital advertising industry until recently. But that's changing. There's a new focus. That data is now harder to come by and more expensive to come by. And so the focus has shifted from third-party data, which is data collected in the shadows, to first-party data, which is much more transparent, very clearly permissioned. People understand how it's used. The reason that's significant to the market is because if you're a chief marketing officer, you're now much more concerned about gathering first-party data than you were. In fact, in the most recent survey, 60% of them said that this was their primary concern. With the changes that businesses like Google and Microsoft and Meta are making to the advertising infrastructure, using that third-party data is going to become much more difficult. So there's this shift towards first-party data. Because it's a rapid shift driven by technological changes, marketers have to move with it, and there is a lack of expertise in the marketplace and how to deal with this data. So Electric Guitar was formed to capitalize on that, to build a business which was an expert in delivering the first-party data, the data that marketers now need to drive their advertising campaigns, to those marketers in a way that was really simple and easy for them to understand, with us dealing with the complexities of it, like a swan swimming across a pond or whatever metaphor you'd like. That's the reason for Electric Guitar. Today, I think we're talking about 3 Radical, which was our first acquisition, our platform business. So we are now a trading business listed on AIM, and we acquired 3 Radical on the 3rd of May. So we are 1 month in now. And we're making progress and moving forward with that business. I think I mentioned before, we've still got a healthy pipeline because we're very ambitious about the other businesses which we're going to acquire. That's all in play at the same time. But we've been, for the last month, bedding in 3 Radical. So today I wanted to talk to you about, part of that process and the progress that we've been making. I know, Zach, you contacted me because very recently, just now, in fact, that an RNS has gone out announcing one of the big changes, one of the big step forwards which we've made. So that is the fact that a chap called Jeremy Saul is joining us to become the managing director of 3 Radical. I'm very excited about that. I've known Jeremy for a very long time, for nearly 25 years, I think. And I've known him in various guises. One of the reasons I'm particularly interested and think Jeremy is going to be a really great addition to the business. He worked for 7 years at another public business called Data Locator Group, which was a big data business. And his focus there was focusing on mobile and digital audiences. So he is an expert in that first-party data and has been doing it in a very long time. And he's worked with some really big clients on it as well, clients like Salesforce and Jaguar and Visa. So he's got extensive experience in the marketplace that 3 Radical are in, experience in dealing with clients, in making simple product propositions that people can understand and buy really quickly, and then delivering those. The other thing which is absolutely really valuable about Jeremy is actually he was one of the domain experts that I brought into Electric Guitar on a consultancy basis to help us with the due diligence on 3 Radical. So he knows their marketplace really, really well. I would argue better than they do, actually, because he was doing the commercial due diligence. He did extensive research into their competitors and the marketplace which they're in. Now, as a result of that, of course, he's got a great understanding of the business, but he's also got to know the key people within that business as well. So it's a really nice, neat fit to bring him in. And this is all part of that cultural shift that I was talking about before. 3 Radical are a multinational business they've developed a really nice software platform, and they've got some really nice clients as well, some big brands in the US. They're working with a major payments provider in APAC. And in the UK, they've got some great brands as well, but they don't have enough of them. And there's the real opportunity to shift that focus from being developers so that into a business which is much more commercial and sales driven, so that they can really capitalize on that fantastic software platform which they've built, this first party data gathering platform which they've built, and they can really capitalize on that. They've got the proof points from the brands they're already working with, and now this is all about building that big pipeline and making the land grab making the land grab which is happening in this year for first party data.
I think the point here, I mean, to summarize what you said, I mean, obviously you've got a big beast has arrived at Electric Guitar, and it'll take the business forward alongside you. But the key here is what you said at the beginning, that we're changing from a world of the third party data to first party data. So that means that if I understand it correctly, it means that if I'm looking for an electric guitar and I go to your website, in the old days you would be able to sort of find me and sort of spam me and hit me with stuff. But now I have to agree to receive information from you, or data from you, or services from you.
Yes, that's right. And also the relationship, the data which is being collected is much more focused around the transactions that you do and the way you behave on that website. So it's much easier for you to understand what information is being given up. In the past, with third-party cookies, they just tracked you across everything over years. And so actually the information which was being used to target you was very opaque. And from the point of view of privacy and you giving informed permission and having control over that data, that mechanism doesn't really work, because if you don't understand it, you can't make an informed decision. So now the shift towards this much more transparent relationship with consumers is exactly what's driving that change. In the past, as a marketer, in the past as a marketer, it was impossible to ignore that third party data. It was too attractive. It was cheap and ubiquitous, really, really easy to target people. And so when people hit your website, your main concern was dealing with them immediately and quickly there, knowing that you could get them back again very cheaply by targeting them again using third-party cookies. Now your main concern is convincing those people that they should return to your website, because it's much harder to target them any other way.
And has the change, again, this is sort of quite relevant to what you're doing, has the change from third party to first party been something which is regulation driven, or is it just market driven, or how has that happened?
It's a bit of a perfect storm, actually, Zach. There's two things driving it. The first thing has been regulation. So the big one was 2018, which was GDPR, and the rest of the world is now following that. We're seeing America talking about federalizing what has been local legislation, driven by California previously. We've seen APAC also talking about it, that even China is talking about privacy-driven data protection rules. So there is legislation. This has also raised consumer awareness. So there is increasing concern from consumers about how their data is being used. And if you are a brand trying to build values of trust and integrity, it is a concern that you might get found out doing something that consumers might not like with your data. So I think a lot of chief marketing officers, CMOs as we call them, a lot of CMOs are concerned that their use of third-party data is a bit like playing Russian roulette. It's very likely that in the next 18 months, a significant brand will get caught out for some of those marketing practices and called out for those marketing practices, which will do them damage. So those consumer opinions and the legislation are drivers, but I think the key driver here actually has been the response of the big American tech organizations like Google and Apple and Meta, because they've all drawn in their horns with regard to the data that they're providing. They've become a lot more strict with advertisers in what they're prepared to share about people. And now they tend much more to just provide a dashboard which reports on how a campaign has performed, but they won't provide the underlying data to the advertiser. And for an advertiser, that's the problem, because what that means is their suppliers, those advertising providers, which those ones I've listed are around about 70% of the market, they now know more about the consumers that the advertisers are interacting with than the advertisers do themselves. So there's an exposure there, and it means that those businesses are much more likely to be able to optimize their sales process to maximize advertiser spend, whereas an advertiser was trying to do the opposite. They were trying to minimize their spend with the same results. So there is a conflict there. And in that arms race, the tech companies are winning. As a result, if you're an advertiser, you want to try and get that first party data, and then you control the data yourself and you understand people yourself, and you can do a lot more that way.
And so you're basically, surfing the new wave that's arriving with the first party data, and also helping, marketeers and others to become more efficient in gathering that first party data and exploiting it as well.
That's correct. It's becoming more efficient in gathering it in the first place, because in the past you haven't had to do that, or it hasn't been so important at least. And so there's limited expertise and limited services to deliver that. And then that's right, understanding the data which is collected, to understand how to improve the experience that you and I have as a consumer when we go onto a website, based on the information, the first party information that we've provided to that website, to the owner of that website, so that they can make sure that they show us appropriate products, talk to us, give us the information that they think we'll need to help us buy the right things, and to deliver the services that we want that are associated with that. And that's all based on understanding us on an individual level. So that's the shift, and there's limited expertise in that area. That's the business that Electric Guitar is building, one which is a scaled global business, which is able to help advertisers do exactly that, to take control of the data about their consumers.
And just to finish off, maybe on an upbeat note, presumably most of the third-party data people are, billion-dollar companies or more, much more. Could Electric Guitar be, equally large in the first-party data space going forward?
That's absolutely the aspiration, Zach, is to become a massive global unicorn. That said, last year this was an $800 billion market. We'd be very happy if in the next couple of years we get 1 or 2% of that market as a result of what we're doing. But yes, the potential and the ambition is there to become a very significant global player.
John Regan, CEO at Electric Guitar, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Zach.